Unit 1, on the principle of mentalism. In the spirit of Bardon's elementary training, do not force the breath. Allow it to come and go of its own accord. During these few minutes, you will neither fight with the body nor decorate the mind. You will simply listen and observe. We shall concern ourselves with one sentence, and you will carry this sentence through the different planes of your being. Everything in your experience is shaped by mind. This is not to be understood as a slogan to be believed, but as a directive for experiment. You will not argue about it. You will test it thoroughly.
Already, as you hear these words, the principle begins to demonstrate itself. If you imagine that the voice speaking to you is some external teacher who knows better than you, one kind of feeling arises. If, instead, you take it that this voice is your own higher consciousness addressing you through the form of these sentences, another tone appears. The sound waves remain identical, the mental framing changes, and the whole inner climate shifts. Thus you may see that mentalism stands at the entrance of all experience. It colors everything that follows. Let us, to begin, take the physical plane. Picture yourself stepping out on a cold morning, making your way to work. In such a moment, an unobserved thought often arises. This day will be miserable. When such a sentence appears and you do not notice it, it acts like a silent command. The body answers it at once. The shoulders draw together, the jaw tightens, the breath becomes shallow and hurried. The emotional field follows: irritation, reluctance, perhaps the dull heaviness of resignation. The mental activity arranges itself accordingly. I am tired of this. It is always the same. Nothing ever changes. Under this inner decree, your outer behavior alters. Your manner towards others is more abrupt. You see fewer possibilities. You overlook the small openings life offers. Here you may observe the chain. A quiet thought at the beginning. A series of effects in body, feeling, thought, and outward action after it. This is mentalism in alliance with cause and effect. An inner cause, however fleeting, sets in motion a sequence of consequences. Now take the same morning once more. The air is equally cold. The work awaiting you is the same. Only one element is consciously altered. At the point of stepping out, you will deliberately plant another sentence in the mental field. This is my training ground. You need not force yourself to enthusiasm. You simply adopt another premise. Allow yourself to sense what follows from this slight adjustment. The body does not collapse quite as much. A minimal straightening appears of its own accord. The emotional tone is colored by a faint sense of challenge rather than pure dread. The thinking mind becomes capable of phrases such as, "If I can manage myself under these conditions, my capacity grows." In consequence, your outward conduct shows more composure. You are a fraction more patient, a fraction more resourceful. Nothing external has changed, only the mental key has been shifted. From this, you may infer the close correspondence between inner sentence and outer experience. For a short while, let your attention move over the last day of your life. Do not strain. You are merely looking back as a witness. Ask yourself quietly, what film has my mind been projecting as the background of my day? Perhaps it was the film entitled, "I am behind and will never catch up," or "No one understands me," or "Nothing ever works out." You need not condemn or correct. You are only to recognize that such titles have been playing on the inner screen. In this first phase, you are not yet required to repair anything. Your task is only to see that there is indeed a film and that you have been living inside it. Now, we shall enter into a more precise exercise in the manner of Bardon's first steps. Imagine that you are sitting alone in an empty cinema. The house lights are dimmed. Before you hangs a large, completely blank screen. Acquaint yourself with this image until it becomes clear. You will now give this picture a name and a feeling. The name is mentalism. The feeling is one of quiet, contained power, as if you held a small remote control device in your hand. You are not excited. You are simply aware that this instrument can call forth any scene upon that screen. Let this certainty sink in for a moment. Now perform a few small trials in imagination. Think of a lemon and see it appear upon the screen, bright and sharp. Think of a person dear to you and see their face form there. Think of a particularly unpleasant situation and allow that scene to be briefly projected. In each case, note that your thought acted as the command which summoned the picture. Attend to the sense that you selected it. Thus you may say to yourself, "My mind chooses the film which fills this inner room." This word, this image, and this feeling together form your first mnemonic for the principle of mentalism. When later, in the hurry of the day, you whisper the word mentalism inwardly, the blank screen and the remote in your hand should arise of themselves, and with them, the feeling of choosing. We now take up the observation of thought which Bardon prescribes. For a span of time, whether now or later when you replay this, you will allow thoughts to come and go without interference. Your only task is to recognize each thought as it appears and to classify it in a simple way. Each time a thought shows itself, say quietly within, "This is a film I am creating," or else, "This is a film which has been planted in me." You need not analyze long histories. It is enough that you distinguish between those scenes you consciously choose and those which arise out of habit, upbringing, media, or old wounds. This classification, practiced again and again, is the beginning of mastery. While you perform this, give some attention to the feeling of each thought. You will find that certain thoughts are sharp, contracted, and restless. Others are more spacious, slow, and open. Thus you discover that every thought carries a vibration. Mentalism and vibration are never separate in practice. The content of the thought determines the quality of its energy. In time, you will be able to recognize a thought's nature by its feel even before its full verbal form has appeared. To store this law even more securely, we shall bind it to 4 simple correspondences, one for each level of your being. First, notice that your posture follows your pictures. When you entertain a scene of defeat or helplessness, the body inclines, the head sinks, the spine compresses. When you contemplate a scene of dignity or purpose, the body tends to align more upright. You may condense this as, "My posture answers my pictures." Second, observe that your moods ride upon your meanings. When an event is interpreted as insult, the mood that arises will differ from the mood which appears when the same event is read as an opportunity or a test. From this, you may say, "My emotions obey the interpretations I give." Third, see that your interpretations act as spells. To call yourself by a certain name repeatedly, failure, addict, loser, or on the other hand, student, apprentice, warrior, is to place yourself under enchantment, for your actions will tend to align with the title you have accepted. You may summarize this as, "The names I give myself enchant my behavior." Fourth, recognize that your life mirrors your inner laws. Whatever you have taken as certain, people are not to be trusted. Money is always scarce. My body is against me. will, in time, be reflected back through circumstances, relationships, and patterns that repeat until you see them. Thus you may say, "My world reflects my hidden convictions." Taken together, these 4 sentences give you a small square around mentalism: body, feeling, thought, and outer life, all bearing the signature of the inner film. If you were to draw this, you might write the word mentalism in the center of a square, placing posture at the base, mood at one side, spell at the other, and mirror above. In this way, the principle ceases to be abstract and becomes a simple geometry that your imagination can hold. We shall now allow this principle to show itself in a concrete situation which is familiar to many. Imagine that you are at work. A colleague or superior addresses you with a harsh tone. The words may be ordinary, but the manner of their delivery cuts into you, and immediately the nervous system leaps into agitation. In that moment, the unobserved mind often creates the film, "I am being attacked," or "I am not respected," or "they are against me." Under such a picture, the body braces, the heart beats faster, and the old patterns of defense or withdrawal appear. Here is an opportunity for practice. Hold that scene in imagination as if you had pressed pause on the film. Nothing external is changed, only your inner activity is brought into clearer view. Now introduce the principle of mentalism. You say inwardly, "What meaning am I assigning to this tone?" You do not deny the harshness, but you see that between the sound and your hurt there lies a judgment. Already you separate the mental act from the bare event. Next you allow polarity to enter. You ask, "What opposite film could I project here?" Instead of the movie entitled, "I am a victim of disrespect," you might project, "This is training in composure," or "This is a display of that person's inner state, not of my value." You do not need to like the situation, you simply choose a different opposite pole by which to view it. Thus, polarity joins mentalism in transforming the internal experience. Then you consider rhythm. You inquire, is this a single occurrence or am I watching a familiar pattern? Many will find that such scenes have repeated across different chapters of life, with parents, with teachers, with employers. In this way, you begin to see that your life has rhythms, waves of similar experiences returning until the underlying beliefs have been brought to light. You are no longer caught entirely in the immediate sting. You have stepped into the position of observer within a larger cycle. Bardon speaks of the mirror of the soul. One side for the light qualities, one for the dark. You may adapt this idea to your mental films. If you kept a simple notebook, you could devote one page to the helpful mental tendencies and another to the unhelpful ones. After such an episode, you might record tendency. I rapidly create the film, "They are against me," when spoken to sharply. Counter quality. I am capable of creating the film, "This is training," instead. The very act of naming these tendencies weakens their unconscious hold and strengthens your capacity to choose. In this way, you practice cause and effect consciously, and you practice the principle of gender inwardly as well. There is a receptive aspect in which you allow impressions and recognize them. There is an active aspect in which you project a new meaning and thereby generate a new line of consequence. To conclude this unit, it is useful to condense the entire exercise into 3 simple movements which you can recall during the day. First, you observe. You notice that there is a film playing in the mind and that it has immediate effects in your body, your feelings, and your conduct. You do not rush past this recognition. You allow yourself to see clearly, I am inside a self-created scene. Second, You transmute. You do not attempt to fabricate a false positivity, but you gently rotate the meaning by a small degree toward training, lesson, or mirror. The external fact may remain unpleasant. The inner position from which you meet it becomes more sovereign. Third, you embody. You select one small expression in the physical world to seal this new stance. A slightly deeper breath, a softening of the shoulders, a choice to answer with one less harsh word, or even the simple act of remaining silent where previously you would have reacted. In this way, the law is no longer confined to thought, it is anchored into gesture. You may express these three movements in a brief formula. I observe, I transmute, I embody. If you wish, you may say this phrase now inwardly, letting each word fall like a step upon firm ground. Thus, in this first unit, you have not tried to learn the entire doctrine of mentalism. You have taken one image, the empty cinema with the blank screen, and one sentence. Everything in my experience is shaped by mind. And you have allowed them to penetrate body, emotion, thought, and action. You have seen mentalism working together with vibration, with correspondence, with polarity, with rhythm, with cause and effect, and with gender. Not as separate theories, but as interwoven movements within a single moment of life. Repeated often while you work, this simple pattern engraves itself more deeply into the subconscious. In time, the recognition will arise by itself. I am the cinema. This is only a film. And with that recognition, your freedom of response begins. This completes the first exercise on the principle of mentalism.